Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see behind me today, I pulled out the C7 Stingray Corvette. So yeah, what we got here is a 2016 C7 Corvette Stingray with the Z51 package, 3LT. It's got some carbon fiber options. Got a carbon fiber package with a carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber roof, supposedly a painted carbon fiber spoiler, but it's painted to match the color. It's got the bigger wheels with the Z51 package. You have bigger brakes, 4-piston front and rear calipers, slightly bigger calipers up front. I've got the painted black wheels, 19-inch in the front, 20-inch in the rear. It's got the dual mode active exhaust. It's a little dirty. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a little butterfly valve that'll open and close depending on if you want the car to be louder or quieter. Yeah, with these cars you can still remove the roof and put them in the trunk. Fully removable roof. Carbon fiber, so it's a little bit lighter. With the Z51 package, you have all the active aero that goes on with the Grand Sport and Z06 Corvettes. These vents actually go down to heat exchangers, one for the transmission and one for the electronic rear differential. That's what makes this car way more track capable than just a normal Corvette, base Corvette Stingray. The engine has the dry sump. You can take a look at that real quick. So of course with the Corvette the hoods always open up in reverse. Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, so the engine is the LT1 engine, gasoline direct injected, which is a newer generation of LS engines, the previous generation, making about 460 horsepower, somewhere around 460 pound-feet of torque. With the Z51, you get the same engine from the Grand Sport, which is naturally aspirated, 6.2 liter. You get the dry sump, so your oil fill is over here, the oil reservoir. What else did I say about the engine? I've since removed some of the panels from the engine, try to keep the fuel rails from heating up too much on the racetrack. I do track this car pretty frequently. I had this car for just over a year, and I've tracked it about, I think seven track days I have on there by now. Performed great up until the last track day. Have had a few issues with the with some cylinders misfiring due to some dirty fuel injectors. So that's one thing with these new engines, is that the fuel injectors tend to get dirty. The intake system gets dirty. It needs to be cleaned. I since took it to Chevrolet and they did a full fuel system and air intake system clean on it. Now the engine, performs back to factory standards again, but yeah, it was kind of a bummer my last track day. I was losing a little bit of power. Check engine light came on toward the end of the day. Code said that it was misfiring into the cylinders. But since I had it back from the dealership, it's been performing flawlessly. Another thing I might add to the newer C7 generation is that it does come with electronic power steering. If you can see down there, there's the steering linkage and steering rack. Oh yeah, the whole engine sits behind the steering rack. Yeah, so you have a little bit more numb steering feel in the newer generation Corvettes. I'm trying to get used to it. I had, before this car, an E92 M3 with hydraulic power steering still, but it had some electronic controls, I think electronic motors that would kind of interfere, and it would either dampen or increase the amount of feedback you had through the steering. But for this one, when you have it in track mode, it seems very similar to a hydraulic power steering unit, but it just isn't the same. I know with the new C8s, they're going to start having electronic or brake-by-wire systems. I'm not so sure if I would like that much. I do like having a raw mechanical feel through the brake pedal, especially on the racetrack. But who knows? I don't know. Maybe that it may perform better. I've heard good things and bad things, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how once those C8s start getting released, how people feel about them. Okay, moving on. I'll go back to the brakes. So the rotors, I did end up replacing with an aftermarket rotor brand. The stock rotors wore out fairly quickly. The pads, forget about it. I've since already gone through a couple different generations or different iterations of pads. Right now I'm sticking with the StopTech street track pad. It's kind of like a pseudo street / track pad. It's a little more aggressive on the rotor, but the pad will wear out faster than the rotors will. These rotors are DBA disc brake Australian rotors. You can kind of see the slots in them are proprietary to this rotor brand. They call them the kangaroo paw slots. Pretty funny because they're from Australia, kangaroo paw. Yeah, these rotors are so much better. They have not worked on me at all. I've had them on probably 5 of the last track days. Yeah, 2 track days my rotors lasted, and it had about 20,000 miles on this car, and those rotors were done. This one, I have 30,000 miles on the car total, so probably about 10,000 miles on these rotors and 5 track days, and these rotors are still good. That's the front. I'll show you the rear. There's the rear rotors, slightly smaller, but yeah, still very capable, still very track capable car, even with the smaller rotors. With the Grand Sport, you do get slightly bigger rotors, and of course, with the Z06, you can opt for the even more expensive carbon ceramic rotors. I've only been in 2 cars with carbon ceramic rotors. I was a McLaren and a 911, and those things are ridiculous. Although, with my budget and funding right now, I'm sticking with steel rotors. And yeah, these brakes, I mean, if you've seen some of my track days, I can outbrake a lot of cars with these brakes. But yeah, these brakes still perform great, street and track wise. Very great, capable car. Let's see what else you get with the 3LT package is the bumper cameras, which are freaking awesome for not damaging your front fascia, especially on those low parking cement blocks, as you can see there. Also, with the 3LT package, you get the performance data recorder, which comes with a camera. I don't know if you can see that. I have to go over here. My windshield is very shiny. There's a little itty bitty camera up there. See if I can focus on it. Well, if you can't see it, I do have videos of this car on the racetrack performing, and with the performance data recorder has all that telemetry overlay over the camera, so it lets you know how fast you're going, your RPM, how many G's you're pulling, what else? Throttle position, brake position. It even has GPS for where you are on the racetrack. And actually, you can go in and review your video while you're parked at a light. So I'll go ahead and show you a little startup from the driver's seat. Cold start. Listen to that baby purr. So yeah, I normally drive around in sport mode. Right now it's defaulted to tour mode, but there are with this, I think most Corvettes come with the 5 different modes for how you want to drive, your 5 different driving modes. This knob right here, you turn, and it shows you different modes. So there's eco mode, there's, let's see if it loads eco mode. Oh, that is eco mode. Weather mode. The tack doesn't change in these modes, but then if I go back to, let's go over to sport mode, the tack will change to a different, there you go. So you got your sport mode. I do like how the tack looks in sport mode, but for track purposes, the track mode tack to me is just the easiest to follow. It's the simplest. Of course I can change all these little settings. I can change what gauges I want to see. I can look at the electronic limit slip to see what it's doing, whether it's open or locked. I can see if the tires are warm, transmission fluid temperature, all kinds of different things I can monitor. Battery, oil pressure. And another cool thing is with the 3LT, you get the heads-up display, which, if you get a car with heads-up display and you're used to looking at the heads-up display, oh man, it's just so convenient and awesome, especially when you're at the racetrack. You don't have to look down for nothing. Everything is right there. Your speed, your RPM, even your shift lights show up on there. What gear you're in. Right now we're in park. The G meter is up there, and of course I can change this around too. I can show different settings. I can even have it, if I want, to show the different tachometer settings. I can change that one to the sport mode while it's in track mode, or eco mode if I wanted it to. But for the sweeper tack, it is so easy to shift gears and see where you are in the RPM range while you're on the racetrack. Here's the radio display, and let's see, I'll show you what I was talking about, the performance data recorder. Oh, but of course we'll need to reinstall the SD card. So basically this takes an SD card and it installs right up in here. Slot there. SD card goes right in there. Click it in. Close that up. And now we've got recorded sessions. Let's see here, we can go back to one from July. I believe this is from Charlotte Motor Speedway. And yeah, if I wanted to, if I was sitting in a parking lot or had a light, I can go ahead and watch my little track days. Looks like I was just getting onto the racetrack here. And I can scroll around. I can get behind these, show you, so yeah, like I said, steering angle, RPM, speed, the G meter down the left, what gear you're in, top right, the green bar is your throttle position, and your red bar is your brake pressure / position. Top, middle is the speed, obviously. It's going miles per hour right now. You can change that to kilometers per hour. You can change the settings. You can also change the settings for drag mode, so it can display your 0 to 60 time, your quarter mile time. I believe there's probably 60 foot and all that other good stuff there. So the top left, I think once you complete a lap is when it starts to show your GPS map, or it could have, oh, there it goes. So once we complete a lap, which we're coming around now, the GPS will start to show where you are on the track. So the finish line is right here. Now you can set the finish line anywhere you want on the racetrack. I just wanted to set it where you would normally set the finish line, which was right there on the Charlotte Roval course. So here's where you're going in the infield. Starting to pick up a little bit of speed here once we already did a warm-up lap. It also shows your lap time right there. And the little squigglies come up whenever a driver aid is engaged. Now, when I'm in track mode, I never ever notice, like I don't even feel it when any of the traction control or driver stability controls are starting to engage. But it seems to show it on the recording here. There I'm following a Mustang. And sometimes it'll display here and it won't display here. But show a little more footage of there. Going around the banks at over 100 miles an hour. If you guys have not been to Charlotte Motor Speedway and you have a fast car, you need to go to Charlotte Motor Speedway, because this is the racetrack to take a Corvette or anything fast. So I run the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tire, which is great for wet weather. Even I can take it to the racetrack. Super sticky when you get them warmed up, but a good all-around summer tire. I even drive these in the cold, and I mean, we're in Georgia, so we don't get a lot of snow. I've driven it through some flurries, and the tires are great. This car, with the traction control systems that it has, and the way the chassis manages the horsepower, like this car is a great car to drive all year round, especially if you're in, you know, a southern climate, one of the states in southern climates in the U.S. Yeah, it's not that hard to drive around, especially in inclement weather with these tires. Now with full race tires, full race compound tires, I would suggest getting another set of wheels if you want to have a set of tires for the racetrack. I'm working on that. I'm trying to find another set of wheels that I want to take to the track that I can put some sticky tires on. And yeah, I just haven't found anything just yet that's pretty. I mean, nothing's gonna be affordable when you're going with race car, but just something that will fit over the brakes, and you know, similar size wheels to these. I may even go with a squared setup where you have all the same width and same diameter tire, where these are, I believe, in the front. Like I said, they're 19-inch in the front, but 255 over 35, 19-inch, and these are 295. I oversized these by 10 millimeters each on the front and rears. They stick out a little bit further from the rim, as you can see, just nicely. Not too much. You can have a little more added grip with the wider tire. I also didn't like the run flats that it came with. It came with the Super Sport Zero Pressure ZP run flat tires, and those were just absolutely horrible. I've had run flats on other cars, and I don't know if you're a fan of run flats, but I've had punctures with these tires, and I've been able to pump them up and get my car to a tire shop and have them plug and patch. Discount Tires, where I get these tires from, they if you buy tires from them, they do that for free. I think even before I bought tires from Discount Tire, I brought another one of my cars there, and they repaired it for free as well. But yeah, they Discount Tire, great place to get tires. Yeah, let me go back to the interior. Kind of jumping around here, but I can show you more of the interior. This one does have the suede inserts, and it does have the heated and cooled seats. Cooled seats are a must in the summertime here in Georgia when it's 100+ degrees and you got the cooled seats. Yeah. Some people aren't huge fans of the interior of the Corvette. Me, however, I'm not that picky. I do like the carbon fiber inlay in the dash. I do like the leather upholstery. Some people don't like it. Yeah, I mean, it's Corvette, so it's not a 911, it's not a Ferrari. You don't pay Ferrari prices for a Corvette, so you don't get, you know, amazing interior. But I mean, it's good. It's good for me. I like the little suede accents here and there. You can also get suede steering wheel. Not a huge fan of the suede steering wheel as it gets really slippy, but I do like my leather steering wheel. I do love the flat bottom steering wheel. I'm a taller person, so my legs fit great. I also like the driver settings. I have 2 different keys. I believe you can I only adjusted one setting for the one key, but every time I get in and out of the car, I'll turn the car off and show you. Yeah, the seats go back and the steering wheel goes front, and it makes it very convenient to get in and out of the car. Another thing that I am not too impressed with is the stupid gas fill. So it is kind of a pain in the butt. You do have to, on most gas pumps, you have to hold the pump. I'll show you this little diagram here that they show you. So you're not supposed to lift up on the pump. I guess that kinks the internal tubing or whatever. As you can see, you're supposed to let the pump lay without any assistance, but I find myself having to keep adjusting. There's like a perfect position that you need to have the pump in for it to like fill up, and it's not all gas pumps that give you trouble. It's mainly like the cheaper ones or older ones, but newer pumps I can let them lay there and it'll fill up, and then some pumps will just stop like halfway, and some pumps will just keep stopping every 5 seconds, so that's pretty annoying. But I mean, for the price and performance that you get with this car, this car new was a sticker with a $60,000 sticker, just about mid-60s, because of all the options and the Z51 package, the extra mechanical options. I picked it up around 46, 47 after taxes, with I believe just over 14,000 miles, maybe almost 15,000 miles on it. So yeah, I mean the C7. Now with the new CA coming out, I've heard prices are dropping. You can get these for a pretty affordable price. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the trunk space. So with the Corvette, you do have the transmission in the rear. So that gives it, you know, not too much depth in the trunk, but I can fit, I mean, if I really wanted to, I could fit three sets of golf clubs in here, but you only have 2 seats, so why would you ever put 3 sets of golf clubs in here? But I can fit 2 sets of golf clubs, plus luggage, plus all kinds of stuff. When I go to the racetrack, I can bring my big radio, I can bring my tent, I can bring a crap ton of tools, like 3 or 4 folding chairs, rags, towels, all kinds of things, a cooler, a suitcase if I'm going to a racetrack that's far away and I'm going to stay at a hotel. I can fit so much stuff in here. It's surprising how much stuff you can fit in here. And yeah, you'll still have some visibility out the rear view window through the rear view mirror. I do like the netting that it comes with. It comes with a cargo net and some of this other net guards for keeping your stuff, your groceries from flying around, because you tend to forget that you're driving a Corvette sometimes and you just pull a turn and, like, yeah, your stuff that's back here is just going to go side to side if it's not tied down. Yeah, with the bolstered seats and how you sit in these cars, and you just, you know, rip through a turn, you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't that bad, and then everything in the back is just flying around. Yeah, you got to know what you got in the back of these cars if you're driving this for a daily driver, because this car is essentially a race car built for the street, and it will fling you around. Another thing I forgot to mention with the Corvette, and I'm sure people have seen this before, but I just wanted to show my viewers, is this cool little nifty hideaway screen that you can make go up and down. Yeah, it's pretty James Bond like. And then that's a little USB I have in there. You know, you can store music on your USB. The Corvette will play music from a flash drive. Also, you got USB connection points in here for charging your phone or connecting it to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. It's a little messy in there, but for my cats, get that crap out of there. Cat fur. What else? Oh yeah, traction control. You can totally turn that off. Forgot to mention that. Oh, another thing about the transmission. If you put this thing in manual mode at the M down there, you have to shift. It will not override shift for you. Yeah, I was just seeing, like, you know, most cars, you put them in manual mode, you got the paddle shifters, eventually it overrides and shifts for you, and, you know, it's not a true, like, manual mode. This is a true manual mode. If you put it in manual mode and you're riding around in first gear and you are not upshifting with the plus paddle, you will be stuck in first gear and it will just peg that RPM out at 6,500 RPM or whatever the fuel cutoff is, and yeah, it's not pleasant. I just checked it one time to see if it would shift. You want to shift it. So yeah, like I said, manual mode. Now if it's in drive mode, alright, the drive mode, you can start to shift and it will kind of go into like a pseudo manual / automatic mode, where if you don't press the paddle buttons after a certain duration, it will time out and go back to automatic mode. It will, like I said, override and go back to an automatic mode. But for that short duration, if you're in drive mode and you accidentally hit one of them paddles, it's not going to shift. It will stay in that gear. That being said, when you do come to a stop, when you're in drive mode or manual mode and you come to a stop, it will automatically downshift to first gear for you, so you don't have to keep hitting the minus paddle, downshift paddle, to go all the way down to first gear if you're you know, at a light or whatever. What else? Also, you've got your 0 to 60 timer, I believe. You got, let's see, performance. Go through, yeah, 0 to 60 timer. That was the best I could do on a cold day, 4.7. The car is rated to go 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. I'm terrible at launching cars, especially with high horsepower, high torque, since I don't really, haven't had a lot of experience with high horsepower cars per se at a drag strip. I usually take them to road courses, but I think the lowest I got was like 4.1 seconds, which is plenty fast, and the wheels were still spinning when I first started. So yeah, managing the throttle is pretty tough when it's cold. These tires definitely need to get warm to launch properly, get like the sub 4 second 0 to 60 times. I'm not a drag racer. I don't claim to be. It's nothing I like to do. You know, I more like to drive on road courses, like I said, and you know, practice driving lines, things like that. But if you are a drag racer, this car will get up and go. It has plenty of torque, plenty of horsepower. It's lighter than a Grand Sport, so I heard that from a straight line perspective, this car is quicker than a Grand Sport. I wish I could have gotten the Grand Sport versus this, but at the time they were still a heck of a lot of money. And yeah, the Z51, great car for me. I don't like to do a lot of launches. I don't want to like ruin the drivetrain. Launching cars is definitely harder on your drivetrain than, you know, flowing them through a racetrack. I mean, you do see some heat on the racetrack. I've seen this car get pretty hot, probably around the 240 degree water temp mark, and I want to say for the oil temp, let's see, it's definitely gone over 200. It's probably around probably the same temperature, oil temperature wise, 240s. But I've not gone to lit mode on the racetrack due to temperature. I've even driven, let's see, probably the hottest day was at Barber, and it was like 108 degrees ambient, and this car still performed flawlessly. And I was passing Z06s and ZL1 Camaros with the supercharged, I believe it's the LT4 engine, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, with the supercharged engine, you definitely will put out some more heat than the naturally aspirated ones. I do like the little side panels, Corvette. There's so many things on this car that let you know you're driving a Corvette. Corvette emblem on the steering wheel, Corvette Stingray placard down there, Corvette emblem on the shifter. If you go on the outside, well, there's another Corvette on the seat, Corvette flags, and then of course you got your little Stingrays. I like how I have the blacked out trim. Not a huge fan of chrome, but I did like another thing that drew me to this car was the little metallic accents that I have on some of the other plastic trim pieces along with carbon fiber. So it's not a completely black car, even though everything is pretty dark and black. Let's see here, you got little Corvette pieces there. You got the Corvette flags in the front, of course. And then I saw this one day and I was like, wow, there's just little Corvette flags everywhere. And then I have the blacked out Corvette flags on the back. More stuff to let you know you're driving a Corvette. As if you don't know already. Even the wheels let you know you're driving a Corvette. So yeah, just remember, when you get into a Corvette, that you're driving a Corvette. Oh, and the floor mats. Stingray. You're driving a Corvette Stingray. Okay, so, we'll take this thing for a little spin. I kind of wanted to go up to the mountains before the weather got too crappy. There's some rain coming, and tomorrow, later tonight. But I haven't driven this thing for about a week. And like I said, I had the transmission service, and I did the rear differential myself. Another thing about the rear differential is it was underfilled, and I read on a lot of forums that the differentials on these cars, you want to change those. The original factory fluid was very metallic-y, very gross. It definitely needed to be changed. So if you pick up one of these cars, especially a used one, I recommend having all that stuff done. Change the transmission fluid, change the rear differential fluid, and then of course, I do oil changes every 5,000 miles regardless, even though there's a little percent gauge on here that lets you know how rough you're using the engine. It'll degrade the engine oil quality quicker or slower depending on how you drive. I usually never let it go below like 50-40% anyway. I think I've done 3 oil changes in this car since I bought it. Yes, I've got about 15,000 miles a day, or 5,000 miles, so I'm at 29,000 right now. So yeah, definitely check all the fluids on these cars. Also, the coolant was a little bit low too. Top that off. What else? Brake fluid I do every year regardless, because I track my cars, or I track this car. You'll want to do brake fluid. If you track your car, you're definitely not going to take the factory brake fluid to the racetrack. You'll burn it up. You want to go with the high temp brake fluid. I go with the Motul 600. Like I said, I've tracked it on really hot days. I've never had any problems with my brake fluid. Definitely do your brake fluid on any track car if you track it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed a little walk around video of a little review of the C7 Corvette Stingray. Stay tuned for part 2, and I'll do some driving review of how the vehicle rides and drives. Yeah, so stay tuned for that, and make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.